Welcome to Goal Journal's Indian Premier League cricket match review. Imagine taking the most dominant playbook in modern cricket, throwing it right in the trash, and then watching a team that lost its first 6 games execute it perfectly.
Right, against the very franchise that invented it, no less.
Exactly. I mean, that is the absolute madness we're dissecting today in this deep dive. We're unpacking the Kolkata Knight Riders' stunning mid-season turnaround.
Yeah, and contrasting that with Mumbai Indians' shocking collapse.
Right, and really exploring the psychological and tactical nuances driving both of those things. So for the listener, we're glad you're here with us for this.
Yeah, to map out the landscape of this specific clash, we're looking at a match where KKR, the Kolkata Knight Riders, secured a 4-wicket victory over the Mumbai Indians, MI. But honestly, the scoreboard is the least interesting part of this story.
Oh, totally. The scoreboard doesn't tell you anything about how weird this game was.
No, not at all. What truly warrants our attention is the structural integrity, or the total lack thereof within these two teams. You have one squad operating with just surgical precision and another suffering from what looks like a catastrophic internal systems failure.
It really does, because the macro trajectory here is just baffling. I mean, KKR's season started as a complete disaster. They lost their first 6 games.
Which is brutal.
Right. In any professional sports league, let alone a short tournament format like T20 cricket, a 6-game losing streak right out of the gate is basically a death sentence.
Yeah, the media writes you off, fans tune out.
Exactly. The locker room usually fractures completely.
Yeah.
But instead of folding, they won 6 of their next 7 games to storm right back into contention.
Yeah.
And the irony here is...
Well, historically, making an impossible late-season charge and steamrolling everybody is Mumbai Indians' signature move.
Yes. It's almost like KKR broke into MI's facility and literally stole their organizational DNA.
It's a role reversal of epic proportions, really. While KKR engineered this historic resurgence, Mumbai Indians, the team that practically wrote the manual on late-season dominance, just imploded.
And it's not like they don't have the guys to do it.
No, not at all. This isn't a team lacking firepower. I mean, they are heavily armed with absolute titans of the sport. We're talking about Rohit Sharma, Surya Kumar Yadav.
SKY is just incredible to watch.
Right, widely considered one of the most innovative batters on the planet. Plus, Jasprit Bumrah, arguably the most lethal fast bowler alive right now.
Yeah, the roster is stacked.
But yet, under the leadership of Hardik Pandya, who, recently returned to captain the side, the collective energy of the team has looked entirely hollowed out. I mean, against KKR, their vaunted top order just crumbled. They were 4 wickets down inside the power play.
Okay, let's pause on that for a second, just to give you some context if you're listening. The power play is the first 6 overs of the innings where fielding restrictions are in place.
Right, only 2 fielders outside the inner circle.
Exactly. It's designed specifically for batters to take risks and score heavy boundaries. So to lose 4 of your best batters during the exact phase where you were supposed to be dominating the game is a massive, massive blow.
It really is.
But, early collapses happened in T20 cricket, right? The format is volatile. What blew my mind wasn't the top order collapse. It was the total paralysis of the middle order that followed.
Paralysis is definitely the right word for it. When the top order fails, the middle order is supposed to, absorb the pressure, rotate the strike, and basically rebuild the innings before launching a late attack.
Right, you stabilize.
Exactly. Hardik Pandya and Tilak Varma were out there during the critical middle and death overs. These are the final overs where teams traditionally accelerate and maximize their score. But instead of rebuilding, they dug themselves into a mathematical sinkhole. I mean, between the two of them, they consumed 60 balls.
Wait, 60 balls? A standard T20 innings is only 120 balls total.
Exactly. They ate up exactly half the innings.
That is insane. Half the innings just between 2 guys.
And it gets worse. From those 60 balls, they managed to scrape together a mere 46 runs.
Oh.
Yeah. In modern T20 cricket, where teams routinely score well over 200 runs, scoring at less than a run a ball during the most crucial phases of the game is just a glaring anomaly. It points to a massive tactical blockage.
Because usually a batter might take 10 or 15 balls to analyze the pitch.
Right, you adjust to the bowlers, but then the acceleration has to come. Here, the gears never shifted. It was just this agonizing display of hesitation.
I really want to dig into the why here. Are they just out of form, or is something else happening mechanically? Because for you listening, think about this in your own life.
Huh?
You can have the most expensive, talented roster in the league, but if the players are disconnected from the collective game plan, they end up playing like strangers. They looked terrified to take a risk, which is like the antithesis of the T20 format.
Yeah, it's a symptom of misaligned team chemistry manifesting as actual physical hesitation. When a team's environment is fraught with pressure, maybe due to the controversial captaincy change they had, or just internal discord, players often retreat into defensive shells.
Why, they stop playing instinctively.
Exactly. Every shot becomes this calculated, fear-based decision rather than a natural reaction to the ball. And when two batters enter that fear state simultaneously, they just feed off each other's anxiety.
Which gives you 60 balls of pure stagnation.
Precisely.
Which honestly brings us to the ultimate contrast. Because while MI's batters were frozen by the pressure in those middle overs, KKR had two players who masterfully weaponized that exact same phase of the game.
Oh, absolutely. Manish Pandey with the bat and Sunil Narine with the ball.
Yes. Let's talk about Pandey first, because his narrative is straight out of a Hollywood script.
His return to the squad is a masterclass in psychological resilience. I mean, he hadn't played a T20 match since May of 2023.
Over a year.
Yeah. For the bulk of this tournament, he was essentially a glorified spectator, sitting on the bench, fully padded up, just waiting for an opportunity that seemed increasingly unlikely.
And the context surrounding his career just makes this moment so much heavier. I don't know if you knew this, but Manish Pandey is literally a piece of living trivia. He was the very first Indian player ever to score a century in the IPL.
Which is a huge milestone.
Right, a milestone he hit on May 21st, years ago. And weirdly, just a fun quirk of the calendar, that date also happens to be the birthday of the legendary Malayalam actor Mohanlal.
Oh, I didn't know that. That is quite the coincidence.
Yeah. But anyway, despite being this trailblazer and a title winner back in 2014, his stock had fallen so low recently that the BCCI, the Board of Control for Cricket in India, completely ignored him during a recent official felicitation ceremony. They were honoring IPL legends. They celebrated Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, but Pandey was just rendered invisible.
And that perceived slight adds a tremendous amount of weight to him walking out to the middle in this game. When KKR found themselves in deep trouble at 3 wickets down, the management finally taps Pandey on the shoulder.
Right into the fire.
Exactly. The environment was incredibly hostile. It was a low-scoring, high-stakes scrap.
So how does a guy who hasn't faced competitive elite-level bowling in a year step into that cauldron and not completely fall apart? I mean, I would be terrified.
Well, he did it by entirely rejecting the modern T20 impulse to just hit his way out of trouble. While the MI batters froze because they didn't know how to hit, Pandey actively chose not to hit.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's the definition of a veteran anchoring role. He walked out and immediately faced Deepak Chahar, who was getting the ball to swing nicely. Pandey simply absorbed early dot balls, deliveries where no runs are scored.
He didn't panic?
Not at all. He didn't play a rash shot to relieve the pressure. He meticulously read the pace of the pitch. And then, for his very first scoring shot, he dispatched a boundary off Jasprit Bumrah.
Wow. Hitting your first run off Bumrah, who is essentially the final boss of modern fast bowling, is a massive statement.
It really is.
It's basically telling the opposition, hey, I belong here.
Right. It established immediate authority. He and Andre Russell eventually built this composed, methodical partnership that dragged KKR to a defendable total. Basically, Pandey provided the exact structural stability that MI was so desperately lacking.
Okay, so KKR had Pandey managing the crisis with the bat. But we have to flip the script and look at what they were doing in the field. Because if MI's middle order was paralyzed, the architect of that paralysis was KKR's Sunil Narine.
Oh, his numbers in this match are genuinely frightening.
Yeah, I was looking at them. He bowled 4 overs, which is 24 balls. Yeah. 15 of those were dot balls.
That's just absurd.
Right. He conceded a grand total of 13 runs against a batting lineup featuring Hardik Pandya and Tilak Varma. He didn't just contain them, he put them in an absolute chokehold.
And the broader context of Narine's career makes his performance even more staggering. I mean, we are talking about a bowler who inspires genuine dread among the world's elite.
Yeah, didn't Virat Kohli say something about him?
He did. Kohli was recently asked at a sports summit to name the bowler he fears the most in the T20 format. Without a second of hesitation, he named Sunil Narine.
Wow.
And if you look at his economy rate, which is the average number of runs a bowler concedes per over, it just defies logic. Since entering the league in 2012, he has maintained an economy rate of under 8.00 in every single season, except for one anomaly in 2020.
Wait, under 8 in every season?
Yes. To put that in perspective, an economy rate of 8 is considered highly respectable anyway. In 2012, Narine's was 5.4. In 2013, it was 5.7.
That is suffocating.
In a format mathematically designed to ensure bowlers get hit into the stands, those numbers are incredible.
But wait, I really don't understand how this is still happening. I mean, over the last 10 years, the entire sport has been re-engineered to destroy bowlers, right?
Very much, yeah.
The bats are significantly thicker, the boundary ropes have been pulled in, and batters have developed these crazy 360-degree techniques where they are like ramping balls over the wicketkeeper's head. The whole ecosystem of T20 is built to render bowlers obsolete.
It is.
So how is Narine acting like a glitch in the Matrix? How is a bowler remaining virtually unhittable for over a decade when the game has evolved to neutralize exactly what he does?
Well, it really comes down to a relentless evolution of mystery and biomechanical precision. Early in his career, Narine was classified as a mystery spinner. He didn't use a traditional grip. He flicked the ball out using his middle and ring fingers, making it incredibly difficult for batters to read which way the ball was going to turn out of his hand.
But mystery usually has an expiration date, doesn't it?
Exactly. Once teams get high-definition video footage, they dissect the grip and the mystery is solved.
Right, the analysts figure out the trick.
Yeah, but Narine survived because he didn't rely on just one trick. He evolved his arm speed. He bowls much flatter and faster than a traditional spinner, really driving the ball into the pitch.
Oh, so that cuts down the reaction time.
Drastically. By the time they figure out which way the ball is spinning, it's already past their bat. Furthermore, he possesses this microscopic accuracy. He can land the ball on a coin-sized area of the pitch over and over again.
Which has to be so frustrating for the batter.
Oh, it creates an unbearable psychological stranglehold. In T20, batters feel an immense ticking clock in their heads. They need to score. When Narine strings together 3 or 4 dot balls, the batter's internal pressure gauge just explodes.
Good panic.
Right. They attempt a reckless high-risk shot just to break the sequence, and that's exactly when Narine takes the wicket. So those 15 dot balls against MI weren't just impressive bowling. They were 15 psychological blows that completely shattered the batter's resolve.
You know, Narine's success relies on this absolute, quiet, almost robotic discipline. He rarely shows emotion, he just executes. Which is a fascinating pivot point, because what happens when a player abandons that quiet discipline for, well, theatrical arrogance? Yeah, in this same match, we saw the exact opposite of Narine's professionalism. We saw what happens when players let hubris take the wheel. I'm talking specifically about Chennai Super Kings' Deepak Chahar in this concurrent narrative thread we are examining.
The juxtaposition here is vital to understanding the psychology of the sport. We absolutely must address the incident that is being dubbed the chit show.
Okay, I watched the replay of this about 5 times because I literally couldn't believe it actually happened.
It was hard to watch.
So, Deepak Chahar takes a wicket. To celebrate, he reaches into his pocket, pulls out a piece of paper, a chit, and holds it up to the cameras to make this grand theatrical statement.
Right.
He's puffing his chest out, clearly incredibly pleased with himself. But the universe has a very strict policy on premature grandstanding.
It sure does.
Almost immediately after this stunt, a ball goes high up in the air in the outfield. It is an absolute sitter of a catch, a routine pop-up. 2 fielders converge underneath it, and they just stop. They both just stare at each other, waiting for the other to catch it, and the ball just drops harmlessly into the grass right between them. It was a spectacular physical manifestation of a team losing its focus.
It was a disastrous sequence, and it highlights how deeply premature celebration can sever a team's concentration. When a player makes the game about their individual brand or their personal vendettas, the collective focus just shatters. This incident actually echoes a very famous piece of cricket history from 2012.
Oh, really? Involving who? I'm not familiar with this one.
It involved the West Indies wicketkeeper Dinesh Ramdin. So Ramdin was going through a severe slump in Test match cricket. He was heavily underperforming with the bat, and he drew the ire of the legendary Viv Richards.
Okay.
Now, Richards, who is one of the most intimidating and respected figures in the history of the sport, was working as a commentator and rightfully criticized Ramdin's poor technique and lack of form.
Makes sense. That's his job.
Right. Sometime later, Ramdin managed to grind out a century. Upon reaching the milestone, instead of acknowledging his teammates, he reached into his pocket and held up a handwritten placard to the commentary box that read, "Yay, VV talk. Nash."
No way.
Yes. Essentially telling Viv Richards, yeah, Viv talk now.
Oh, wow. You do not pick a public fight with a titan like Viv Richards.
You certainly don't, especially when your overall body of work doesn't justify the arrogance. The stunt backfired spectacularly. Ramden alienated the entire cricket community. No one supported him.
I can imagine.
The ICC, the International Cricket Council, the global governing body, actually fined him a portion of his match fee for conduct contrary to the spirit of the game. He learned the hard way that trying to own a critic rather than focusing on winning the session is a massive miscalculation.
Yeah, it's the ultimate lesson in the mechanics of focus. Hubris, before the job is completely finished, inherently distracts you from the present moment. You are so busy thinking about the viral clip or the headline you are creating that you forget you still have to, actually catch the ball. The chit basically becomes a physical anchor weighing down your concentration.
Exactly. And maintaining that concentration requires players to be deeply comfortable and secure in their assigned roles, which brings us to the final and perhaps most crucial layer of tactical analysis from our sources. We've looked at what happens when a player abandons discipline. Now, we need to examine what happens when phenomenal talent is unleashed,
Right.
but only after analyzing if teams truly understand the biomechanics and rhythms of the players they're deploying.
Oh, you're talking about the Will Jacks phenomenon, because his recent performance is a masterclass in this exact concept.
It really is.
Will Jacks is naturally an aggressive opening batsman. His entire DNA is built around walking out at the very start of the innings, facing the hard new ball, and taking advantage of the fielding restrictions we talked about earlier. But because of team compositions, particularly when he plays for the England national team, he constantly gets pushed down the batting order into a finisher role at number 6 or 7.
And this is a pervasive issue in modern franchise cricket. Management teams look at a player with high strike rates and immense power-hitting ability, and they just assume those skills are universally transferable.
Like plug and play.
Right. They think, well, he hits the ball hard, so we can just plug him in at the 16th over to hit boundaries at the death. But that completely ignores the player's natural rhythm and tactical conditioning.
But when a team finally lets him loose in his natural habitat, the violence is terrifying. Let's break down the specific numbers of his recent century, because they seriously defy the laws of physics.
They do.
So during a run chase, Will Jacks is at the crease. At exactly 6:42 p.m., he hits a 6 off Mohit Sharma to reach his half-century. He's on 50 runs, literally 7 minutes later. At 6:49 p.m., he hits the winning runs to reach his 100.
A 50-run acceleration in 7 minutes is almost difficult to comprehend, even in the modern era of hyper-aggressive batting.
He went from 50 to 100 in 7 minutes. And in that tiny window, he faced an over from Rashid Khan. And Rashid Khan is arguably the most lethal T20 leg spinner of his generation. Jacks smashed him for 29 runs in a single over.
The mechanics behind that assault are exactly why he belongs at the top of the order. Will Jacks is a rhythm player. When he opens, he gets to face the fast bowlers, using the pace of the hard new ball to time his shots. He sizes up the bounce, feels the tempo of the pitch, and builds an internal metronome.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so by the time the spinners like Rashid Khan come on, Jacks is already seeing the ball like a beach ball.
Yeah.
His footwork is precise, his bat swing is grooved, but if you force a guy like Jacks into a lower order finisher role, you're completely stripping away that setup phase.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you there for a second because this actually seems counterintuitive to me.
Oh, so.
If a guy has the raw physical ability to score 50 runs in 7 minutes at the tail end of an innings, doesn't that inherently make him the ultimate finisher? I mean, if he can detonate like that and score 29 off Rashid Khan when the pressure is at its absolute peak, why not just keep him lower down the order to provide that guaranteed late surge?
Because you're confusing situational brilliance with sustainable role alignment.
Okay, explain that.
Yes, Jacks clearly possesses the physical strength to finish an innings spectacularly, as those 7 minutes proved. But asking a natural opener to consistently come in at the 16th over with a softer ball, the field pushed back, and the expectation to hit a boundary on ball number 1 goes entirely against their ingrained muscle memory. It's like asking a classical symphony conductor to suddenly jump into a chaotic jazz improvisation. Sure, they know the notes, and they might create something brilliant once in a while, but their entire training is built around setting a tempo from the start, not reacting to chaos at the very end. When you force a top-order rhythm player into a finisher role, you are banking on a miracle rather than executing a strategy.
That makes perfect sense, actually. An opener wants to dictate the terms of the game, whereas a finisher is often forced to react to the terms set by the bowler. So when you align a player's natural rhythm with their tactical role, you get sustainable destruction, like a 7-minute century. instead of just a stressful one-off highlight reel.
Exactly.
And this circles us all the way back to Mumbai Indians and Kolkata Knight Riders. MI has this massive surplus of talent, guys who could open, anchor, or finish. But their internal chemistry is so disjointed, they're essentially trying to force jazz musicians to play classical sheets.
Precisely.
Right.
KKR, on the other hand, found success against all odds because they deployed their assets perfectly. They utilized an ignored, aging veteran in Manish Pandey exactly how his skill set demanded, as a calm, immovable anchor during a collapse.
Yeah.
And they relied on Sunil Narine to execute the exact same suffocating, microscopic precision he has utilized for a decade to break the opposition's will. They didn't rely on hubris, they relied on execution.
It is the ultimate study in contrast.
Yeah.
You have the quiet assassins who know their biomechanics and their roles perfectly, going up against disjointed superstars who are paralyzed by pressure, dropping catches, and burning deliveries.
Which really leaves us with a final concept to analyze. We've seen a franchise completely resurrect its season by perfectly utilizing a discarded veteran like Pandey. We've explored the sheer devastation a player like Will Jacks can cause when his talent is finally aligned with his natural rhythm at the top of the order.
Right.
So, if ultimate success in highly volatile environments comes down to correctly aligning an individual's innate skills with their assigned tactical role, it forces you to wonder how many brilliant individuals out there, in sports or even in your own workplace, are currently underperforming, labeled as failures, simply because the system around them is forcing them to play the wrong position.
Thank you. See you soon with upcoming matches.